All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. Good evening. This is the School Traffic Town Hall focused on the Marsh Creek Elementary and Vineyard Academy area and surrounding neighborhoods. My name is Alan Bacalar. Nice to meet you. I am the city engineer. Also with me, we have Lieutenant Christopher Peart, as well as Sergeant Michael Manow. The focus of this town hall is to gather community feedback on school-related traffic issues around Marsh Creek Elementary and Vineyards Academy. Part of the discussion will be, or some of the information I'll be sharing will be focused on the pickup and drop-off circulation, as well as discussions for cut-through traffic. Before I get started, I know there's a lot of traffic concerns throughout the city. I just want to share with everybody there's additional means to reach us outside of the town hall, where you can reach us and let us know of issues throughout the city with regards to traffic that we'd be happy to look at. First of all, we have the city's website, brentwoodca.gov, which I'll show you in a bit. And we also have the Brentwood 24/7 app. It's a great application that you can download to your phone via the Apple Store or Google Play for Android users. So please look into that if you don't have it yet. It's a great way to get information to us or questions, issues, things that needs to be fixed. Great examples are if you're looking for stop signs, additional striping, or if you have some concerns out there in the city that you would like to bring to our attention. This is our city's website, showing you the other means to contact us. As you'll see here circled in yellow, we also have a link to the Brentwood Connect 24/7. Clicking this link will take you to some download areas for your phone, or you can go ahead and actually submit your inquiries via the website as well. Alternatively, you could also reach me at the engineering main line, 925-516-5420, where we will answer your phone and take down any questions you might have as well. Here's the agenda for this evening's town hall. We'll be starting off with an overview of school traffic circulation, an overview of improvements by the Orchard Grove Development Project. Police will be providing an accident history summary around the area. And I will be providing a summary of previous studies conducted in the area. The intent, again, of this meeting is really to share information as well as gather community feedback, concerns and issues around the area. There will be pauses throughout the presentation to allow for any questions and comments, as well as at the end of the presentation where we can have more discussions as well. So here's an overview of the area that we've been looking at. Here's in blue, Marsh Creek Elementary School, which is a K through, I believe, 6 or K through 5 school. And we have Vineyards Academy, which is a preschool through 8th grade school as well, with up to a 230 student enrollment. And highlighted in orange here is the Orchard Grove subdivision. Focused on school traffic circulation for now. This is the Marsh Creek Elementary School. What I'm showing here, indicated by numbers, is 1, 2, and 3. The different drop-off and pickup areas for the school. Number 3 being a bus loop only. So here's entry point number 1. My understanding this is for kindergarten and possibly TK families and parents. They would enter into Grand Street. It's a one-way loop street through here, where folks would be picking up and dropping off their kids. Shifting over to the corner of Adams and Grant, this is the other circulation and drop-off area and pickup area for grades 1 through 5. Shown here in the star is the school also has a crossing guard that helps students cross at the signalized intersection here at Grant and Adams. Here is the bus loop off of Adams Lane as well. Switching over to the Vineyards Academy. This is the on-site circulation. Families and parents would drive from Adams Lane into Vineyards Academy, and they have these various loops depending on the grade of their student. They would use different ones. They also have different times that they would come in, staggering them such that it should run fairly smooth as smooth as possible. They also installed a recent driveway here onto Grant Road to allow for exit-only use. With that, I'll pause here for now to take any questions or comments. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to raise your hands. Okay, seeing none for now, I'll move on. Now I'd like to show the Orchard Grove development. Here again, highlighted in orange. Oops. Hold on, I'm having an issue. Okay, sorry, I had an error message. Highlighted in orange is the Orchard Grove subdivision. Now I'm going to show a little bit more information on this particular project.
Alan, you're muted right now.
Okay, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. I'll go back here again. Here's a summary of the Orchard Grove development. We have 51 residential lots for the Orchard Grove Phase 1. It's currently under construction as pictured here. They're currently going at a pace of 2 homes built per month.
Alan, it's not shown on the screen. You guys screen share it.
Oh, I am sorry.
No worries.
Okay.
There you go. Now it's showing.
Thank you. Yeah, for some reason, earlier my Zoom crashed unexpectedly, so I apologize for that issue. Let's see. So Orchard Grove 2 is the phase 2 of the project, which consists of 34 residential lots. The plans to start construction on that phase is in spring of 2025. Both subdivisions will be accessing off of Adams Lane only. There is no access onto Gracie or Lone Oak for this project. This highlights an overview of the area for the Orchard Grove development. I am highlighting here the loop road that they are constructing in yellow. That is their primary point of access onto Adams Lane. They are, as part of their project, completing Adams Lane along their frontage, widening it, doing improvements, installing sidewalk, and ultimately connecting with the existing sidewalks to complete Adams Lane on the east side, providing pedestrian connectivity throughout. Also, as shown at the star location, is a new crosswalk, which has rectangular rapid flashing beacons to allow folks to cross in the future at that area. Actually, it's currently operational as well. Here's a few pictures somewhat recently of the project. As you can see here, this is Adams Lane, Gracie, and Lone Oak to the back, to the rear. Here shows the improvements that the developer has performed thus far. As you can see, the sidewalk was built, the roadway was widened, they've restriped portions of Adams Lane. They've installed this enhanced crosswalk with flashing beacons, as I noted previously, as well as install an EVA gate here to prevent future access from Gracie to Lone Oak as well. EVA stands for Emergency Vehicle Access Only, so things like police, fire, and ambulances could only use that road. Or if there's an issue, we could always open it if there's some sort of need to evacuate quickly through here. Here is a street level view of the Orchard Grove development on the right with the school to the left, and here is the enhanced crossing and the rectangular rapid flashing beacons set up here. And here's a close-up of the gate. As you see here, the development has completely walled off along Gracie to ensure there's no access for residents to Gracie. Okay, before handing over to Sergeant Manow, I wanted to see if there's anybody with any questions at this point, so bear with me. If you have any questions, please raise your hand and I will unmute you. Okay. Currently, I'm not seeing any questions, so I'll continue with the presentation. Give me 1 second. So with that, I'll hand it over to Sergeant Manow.
Thank you, Alan. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to just kind of go over some of the traffic collisions that occurred in this area, as you can see depicted by the yellow dots on your screen. Those are the intersections and anywhere in between that we kind of focused on. And what we did was we went back around 2 years to see if we can kind of get a good general basis for any of the traffic collisions that occurred during that time. And what we found was, Alan, if you can go to the next screen, is in that time period, we found 6 accidents or collisions, I'm sorry, that occurred in that area. As you can see, the majority of them occurred at O'Hara at Grant Street. The one collision that we had with an injury occurred at O'Hara and Grant is a 2-vehicle, and when I looked into that collision, it was a minor injury, rear end collision. The one collision closest to Lone Oak and Marsh Creek Elementary School in that area, the target area is Grant Street and Adams. That was a vehicle versus a light post with no injuries during that collision. Also, as you can see on the column on the right, only one of these collisions occurred during school traffic hours, and that was the vehicle versus a light post. Other than that, there was no major collisions, no fatal collisions, no collisions with any major or moderate injuries during that time period.
Thank you. Thank you, Sergeant. With that, we'll pause for again for any questions at this point with regards to traffic incidents. Please raise your hand if you would like to speak. Okay, thank you. Moving on to the next report. At this time, I'd like to provide a summary of previous engineering studies conducted in the area. These were primarily speed hump surveys focused on potential cut-through traffic as a result of the schools, or in general, focused on Lone Oak and Caper Drive. As you can see, back in 2013, a study was done as well as in 2019 for Lone Oak Road, as well as a hump survey for Caper Drive in 2020. Before jumping into the summaries, the speed hump analysis, speed humps in general, they do provide advantages when installed. They do slow vehicles down, of course, to traverse and go over the humps. They are duly signed and indicated as shown in this picture. It also has the advantage of and provides the potential to redirect traffic from one street to another. Disadvantages for speed humps are, they do increase vehicle emissions and noise. So the immediate impact to the adjacent residents, so they'll hear the noise from the vehicles as they slow down and speed up and hit the humps. So that has to be considered, and it's part of our analysis as well. It also has a possibility of affecting emergency service response time. Again, vehicles do have to slow down and then subsequently speed up again as well. Here's a summary of the studies that were performed on both Lone Oak and Caper. Generally, we follow, similar to a lot of other cities and jurisdictions, that a total of 8 criteria must be met. I'll go over to criteria here. So first of all, it has to be a residence district as defined by California Vehicle Code. Generally speaking, that says generally if there's within a certain length of street, there should be so many, a good amount of homes. I think it was 13 homes within a certain length of street. In this case, Caper met that requirement and Lone Oak did not. Also, the roadway has to be for 2 vehicle lanes. It has to have 2 vehicle lanes and not be wider than 40 feet. The analysis area should also not be part of a truck or bus route. Another piece here is that the roadway should be improved with curb and gutter. I'll circle back to this photo as an example. The reason why curb and gutter is required is without the curb and gutter, vehicles seeing the hump may want to dangerously veer around it. So without a curb and gutter to prevent that motion, that could cause folks to run into potential pedestrians or run into other objects as well. So that is the reason why a curb and gutter is required. In this case, Lone Oak does not have curb and gutter, but Caper does. The streets should also be posted for 25 miles per hour. In this regard, both streets are. The grades, meaning the elevation or the grade changes between streets, should be under 5%, which in both cases the roadways through here are fairly flat, so they do meet that criteria. Also, the roadway should be a minimum length of 750 feet, and that is the case for both areas that were analyzed. The one last piece is the volume. The volume of traffic, meaning the number of vehicles per day, has to be between 500 and 2,000. In that regard, both streets did not meet that particular criteria. Other factors to consider: the 85 percentile speed. Does it exceed 32 miles per hour? What this would indicate is 85 percentile speed alludes to the 85% of drivers of vehicles going through the area must be traveling faster than 32 miles per hour. In this regard, we found Lone Oak to be a little bit higher at 29.5 miles per hour and Caper at 29. And also, we also considered the amount of vehicles traveling over 25 miles per hour, greater than 50%. So Lone Oak had more vehicles traveling above 25, and Caper had less than 50%. Let's see. Just to lay out if and when these criteria are met, the next steps for speed bump analysis and warrant is to then send out surveys to the affected property owners. It's not only the people along the street, but also in the surrounding nearby neighborhood that frequently travel down these residential roadways to get to the primary street and roadways, which in this case would be Adams Lane or Grant Road or Grant Street. Of those surveys that are mailed, We need to have a minimum of 67% approval or greater than 2/3 approval for the speed humps. And also a minimum of 75% of the residents fronting the speed hump must agree with the placement of them. Going back to this photo, as you can imagine, it's these homes that are right next to the hump that will have to agree to the hump being placed in front of their home, as cars will then, as I mentioned, speed up and slow down as they traverse the pump. And that could be somewhat disruptive at times. So we need to get their buy-in. Okay, with that, I'll pause and see if we have any questions or comments on the analysis performed or on the speed hump analysis. Okay. I have iPad 55. Feel free to speak.
I would like to know why Lone Oak Road is not a residence district.
The Lone Oak Road wasn't determined to be a residence district because of I think it, like I mentioned, it has to have so many homes within a certain distance along the street. Lone Oak, the homes in this area, as you know, are larger lots. So they're a lot more spread out.
Okay, that answers my question. The second one is, why are there no speed bumps on Adams? They go down that road quite rapidly.
Adams is a difficult one. I'll show you going back to the criteria for a couple of reasons. My recollection is Adams is wider than 40 feet. It also has a bus. It is a bus route, as you know, the bus
Right.
there. Also, the speed limit, I believe, is greater than 25 miles per hour. And obviously, as you mentioned, the volume does meet that. And, these speeds probably factor into it as well. But speed hump analyses typically, and that particular roadway, again, similarly would not be a residence district as well. And, I want to say this is not the end all be all. There are other ways to address concerns with speeding, which we'll go into later as we go into the presentation, but hope that answers your question for now.
It pretty much does, except I would think that would be a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit since it's by a school.
I think it does during school hours. It probably lowers when children are present, but I think all other times of day it's probably at going off of recollection, 35 miles per hour.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Cinziano Todor.
Hi, Alan. Thank you for the opportunity to ask my questions. First, I want to understand why would we apply the 500 to 2,000 vehicles per day to a small neighborhood like that ours along Caper and Lone Oak Road. You just mentioned, we're more on a country setting. The houses are, spread out. So would it make more sense to do analysis on a somewhat prorated basis? So to understand that, at a certain number of homes, this is the number of vehicles per day expected, but we're seeing this number based on your analysis. So I don't really understand why we're not flexible to actually do some additional analysis and say, yeah, a 17-foot street, road, whatever you want to call it, like Lone Oak Road, it does not have the capability to accommodate this number of vehicles, given the number of homes along this route. So that I did ask this question before, and I don't have a an answer to it. Also, the pictures you were showing, it says bump, 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 but you're talking about humps. What is the difference between bumps and humps? Because I do believe humps, we have them along Gracie Lane. It looks like they do the job by slowing down the traffic, and really that's the ask for our neighborhood to have some measures, traffic calming measures implemented to slow down the traffic. We're seeing we have 2 straight lines, actually 3 altogether, but along Lone Oak Road, we have 2 straight lines that, it's really wild, wild west. People are speeding left and right. And as I mentioned in all my comments at Planning Commission, City Council meetings, we have elderly neighbors that have limited mobility. Walking along Lone Oak Road is their only opportunity to exercise a little bit, and the traffic that we've seen and the speed limits that you've mentioned in your some of your studies are way above safety limits, at least from our perspective. So I'm just kind of looking as a result of this meeting to possibly your engineering group to be able to suggest some traffic calming measures along Lone Oak Road that will deter the cut through traffic and reduce the speed limit that we're seeing today. So that was the expectation for this meeting based on the recommendations from Planning Commission as well as City Council. So if we can focus on those those topics as well, I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cynthiana. Let's see. Great questions. I'll start off with the easy one, humps versus bumps. I'll go to the image. Right, it is noted bump. I think that's our standard signage we use out there, bumps. Although realistically, it is sort of like a hump in a way. The other bumps you might have seen is more in parking lots. A lot of parking lots, commercial parking lots, for instance, have speed bumps, which are a lot more rigid, a lot more sharper. And those are, it may work for parking lots where you're driving at a slower speed, but if you're driving down a roadway at 25 miles per hour and you don't see or notice the bump per se, that could be an issue. With humps, they're a lot smoother, a larger transition, so it's more of a gentle raise up and down. But people, when they do see it, they do slow down. But in the event that they don't, if they're driving at 25 miles per hour or higher, it won't lead to an accident. So that's part of the reason why, although we use the terminology bump, in reality, we prefer to install humps, and it's just a lot more spread out. Still provides the same benefit, slowing down traffic. It's just for those that just don't see it and they're just driving recklessly, they have a less chance of getting to an accident. With regards to the volumes, the reason why we use 500 to 2,000 vehicles per day as a measure is for uniformity. I think you might have heard me say that before in City Council meetings and Planning Commission. It's uniform measures we use throughout the city. I do get your point. There are unusual circumstances, unique circumstances that we could always consider. So, this analysis does have criteria that, is a good rule of thumb, and we do follow it as best we can. Understanding the volume is a tricky one. So, good point. When we do analyses in the future in this area, we'll definitely have that into consideration. And there is flexibility. These are analyses, these are recommendations based on analysis. We could always make engineering judgments as well to consider unique circumstances as you mentioned, moving forward. And as we get through towards the end of the presentation, I'll kind of go over additional measures we could implement to help with the speed and cut through issues, as well as kind of go over some information I have as well as far as what we've seen so far. I think those were the 3 items you asked, and again, we can have more conversations as we move through the presentation. With that, looks like I have another hand raised. Marie Kwashnok. Go ahead.
Yes, hi. I have a question. It sort of ties in with what was just asked. Insofar as the cut through traffic is concerned, I'm curious, why is Gracie Lane, why was access cut off to Gracie Lane? Is that a private road or is that a road that's maintained by the city?
Gracie Lane, my understanding, it is a road maintained by the city. It is not improved to full city standards because there is not enough roadway width to accomplish it. And that's the reason why it was cut off. I don't quite have that history. And I just know that, yeah, it's been that way. Not sure if Lieutenant Peart or Sergeant Manal may have a background on that, but I could get back to you on that as to the history of it and why Gracie never connected with Adams.
Yes, and I'm sorry, yes, I do realize that it doesn't actually reach Adams, but as a pedestrian, and I frequently walk there, I have always been able to access Gracie Lane, and now I'm no longer able to access Gracie Lane from Adams, and I was just curious as to why that is.
Let me get back to you on that. Yeah, thank you, Ms. Kwashnok. Let me look into that reason. I do see that, with this picture shown up here, yeah, you are not able to walk over and through. So let me explore that, and I'll definitely get back to you on that one and the others. Okay. Thank you. Pausing for any last questions on this segment. Okay. Seeing none. All right, moving on to sort of next steps and further analysis. I want to say with the analysis performed in the past, we will be keeping an eye out. Of course, with the Orchard Grove development, as it continues to build out, we want to make sure to identify any changes in traffic patterns, for instance, beginning next school year. So it's an ongoing thing. I want to say this is not a, just one-time deal. We're continuously looking at it. We're here always for you for the residents to, feel free to reach out to us at any time. But we do intend to kind of keep an eye out on things, listen to the people, and hopefully perform our analysis as, again, the development starts to build out, and identify any changes. Also, the city will continue implementing what I call the 3 E's of traffic safety. This is in coordination with the entire city as well as police and engineering. So the 3 E's are enforcement, engineering, and education. As you do continue to witness or notice and report to us that there are people speeding through Lone Oak and Gracie, Lone Oak, Gracie, and Caper Drive, just inform us, keep us a heads up, and police will assist with the enforcement side. That is one of the ways to ensure traffic safety. I don't know if we've done any recent enforcement out there. That maybe before moving on to the others, maybe I'll hand it over to the lieutenant and sergeant to see if they have anything to add there.
Thank you, Alan, and good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Chris Beard. I'm a lieutenant assigned to the patrol division. In fact, me and Sergeant Manow actually started the same day together back in 2005. We both were school resource officers, and we both currently either supervise or manage both the traffic and the school resource officer division. So we definitely have a vested interest in the city and this department, making sure that we can do whatever we can to accommodate some of your requests. To go back to Ms. Todor's question about why it doesn't tap into Adams Lane, I was trying to look at our historical map, and as long as I knew, it's always been a dead-end cul-de-sac there. So going back to 2005, but we'll have to do some more research on the history of that. As far as some of the comments about speeding, we have a lot of resources at our disposal to utilize for that. And one of the things that Alan brought up at the beginning was that 24/7 Brentwood Connect app. And I would highly recommend everyone download that, because you can report, like you said, down street lights or a street light that's out, down street signs. But you can also use that as a portal to connect with the police department. You can report parking issues, speeding complaints, or anything of the like. And those get routed through our system and go directly to us. And then that gets assigned to either a community service officer to address with a parking issue, or Sergeant Manow or myself, and then we can address that and assign that out to an officer to handle that situation and look into that. We do have 2 traffic safety unit officers that we can deploy and perform directed enforcement in specific areas. Just understand we get complaints regularly, and so we deploy regularly to different areas, but we can definitely look into deploying our motor units, the officers on the motorcycles, who their specific goal is to do directed traffic enforcement as well as take collisions in the city. We also have 3 speed trailers, 2 smaller trailers that I think we could find an easy fix on your roadway. And we also have a larger one for some of our bigger roadways that are highly traveled. We also have a signboard trailer that we can utilize. And so we have a lot at our disposal to deploy out there. And we also are a part of a group of motor units that we've coined the term the East Contra Costa County Motor Units, which involves us and several other cities that bi-weekly or bi-monthly we get together in the different communities and address any direct enforcement or traffic complaints. And so it's not just our 2 motor units, it's several motor units from several local cities. And that unit is growing each year. So we have a lot that we can deploy and address some of your concerns, but please report it to us either through our dispatch. If it's in real time, definitely call our non-emergency line, or if it's an emergency, call 911 and report to us in time. Or you can do it through our PD webmail or that Brentwood Connect app and connect with us that way. So there's many ways to connect with us to address your concerns.
Thank you, Lieutenant. As moving on to the other E's, engineering, as I had mentioned, we are kind of, we're always here doing analyses. Like I said, we do have these analyses that we could do to relook at areas like Lone Oak and Gracie, as well as Caper Drive. So we're always here. We're looking at ways to assist as well. And also the last piece is education. That is more of kind of getting the word out about, and this is where our school partners help us out as well with their mailers and newsletters to the families with kids going to Vineyards Academy and Marsh Creek Elementary. And with every new school year, they do send out regular updates and information reminding parents of the circulation. Of course, with new school years, there's always new parents and new challenges as they kind of learn to figure out the traffic flow and best ways to get their kids in and out of school. But so it's always the first couple of weeks of school that's pretty hectic, but after a while, things hopefully simmer down. So that's the education piece, but also getting out the word again that, yay, we do have enforcement ability, we do have engineering as well that could try to evaluate things and look at things. So it's always an ongoing discussion. I want to say although, initially analyses may say no, you never know. It could change in the future. Like I mentioned, with the changing conditions, as the Orchard Grove development moves forward, we could always we're always here to do, again, analyses. And again, I plan to do that again next year when a new school year starts. With that, we'll stop here for any questions. And that pretty much sums up our presentation.
You have 2 raised hands.
Yep. Let's go with Keith. You've been raising your hand for a minute now, so I'll please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. And I'm not sure if this is the opportune time. I live on Gracie Lane, and to address the other woman's request, all of the neighbors on Gracie Lane got together and voted that we wanted Gracie Lane to remain closed as it has been for the last 20 years. And we were successful in that. However, to my understanding, there was supposed to be a pedestrian sort of access. So I don't know if that got taken off the table from the builder, or if they neglected to put it in, but there was supposed to be a pedestrian access. My initial question is in regards to the street signs for dead end. I think all of the residents appreciate the signs that are currently up. However, they're really not in the best location. Our experience is that people turn onto Gracie Lane thinking that Gracie Lane is open, and the dead end signs are far enough down Gracie Lane to where they don't see them until they're already on Gracie Lane. So they get about halfway down, realize it's a dead end, and they floor it, getting all the way to the end, sometimes doing donuts and then flooring it all the way back down to Gracie Lane. So I guess what I'm asking is if those signs can be looked at and perhaps moved closer to Lone Oak so that they're visible from both directions prior to people actually getting onto Gracie Lane. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Keith. We'll definitely take a look at that. Duly noted. We'll look at the dead end sign location. I believe our previous traffic engineer looked at that, and we'll definitely give it another look at to see if we can find a better spot for it or add additional signs as well. So thank you for that, Keith. We'll take a look at that for sure. Let's see. Moving on to iPad 55.
My name is Cindy Gailey, and I have lived on Lone Oak Road for over 50 years. Gracie Lane has never been a through street. That used to be all fields back there where the houses and the school is now, but it never went through for any reason. One thing I don't understand is why there is a stop sign at the end of Lone Oak Road where Gracie Lane comes in. Lone Oak Road is the through street, even though it has a dog leg right there. I would think the stop sign should be at Gracie Lane or facing Gracie Lane, not Lone Oak Road. And thirdly, I want to comment, I appreciate the city and how they have handled this subdivision and making no ingress or outgress onto Lone Oak Road or Gracie Lane. We have not seen any great increase in traffic, though I know people haven't moved in yet. But I think it has been done well and maintained our neighborhood the way we like it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gailey. Appreciate it. And we'll definitely take a look at the stop signs, as you mentioned, at the end of Lone Oak Road. I know they've been that way for a while, so we'll duly noted. Our traffic engineer is listening in as well, so we'll make sure we evaluate that again. Thank you. Let's see. Going on to Marie.
Yes, first of all, I wanted to thank Keith for explaining the situation on Gracie Lane, and also wanted to clarify that my previous comments had nothing to do with the vehicular traffic, but rather pedestrian traffic, although I think that the two are actually related. I just wanted to point out that Lone Oak and dead ends just before it reaches Sand Creek, and there is a gate there for pedestrians to access Lone Oak and walk along Lone Oak all the way up to where it meets Grant. So I think that some sort of a gate to allow pedestrians to access Gracie Lane would actually benefit the neighborhood to the extent that people have a different option to walk where there's no traffic, no car traffic. And it would certainly address some of the concerns raised by Ms. Todor, I believe it was, about Caper. I think she mentioned one of her neighbors who regularly walks for exercise. And if they can access Gracie Lane via some sort of a gate, that can certainly address some of those concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. As I mentioned, yeah, we'll relook at that, make sure how the project Orchard Grove development was required to complete that connection. I know they were specifically definitely preventing the vehicular access, which they're adding with the gate that I showed earlier. But let me look into that and see with regards to their conditions to see if pedestrian access was to be maintained. If not, we'll definitely tackle that moving forward. Good points. Keith, your hand is still raised. Did you want to speak again? Okay. Okay. Not any last minute comments before we wrap up here? Right. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. Great feedback. I do have a list of things, thankfully. It's good to hear from the community at all times. Again, feel free to contact us anytime through the 24/7 app, or you can call me directly through the engineering main line. And yeah, we look forward to exploring these things moving forward. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, everyone.